Hello and welcome to tutorial 206, and in this tutorial we're going to be looking at the optimizer app again. In fact, this tutorial follows on from tutorial 100 and Quicktip 37. And what I suggest, if you're not super familiar with the optimizer API, then it would be a really good idea to go back to tutorial 100 and watch the videos there, then look at Quicktip 37 before going through tutorial 206, which covers a lot of the same ground. In fact, it's built on essentially the same program. So just to remind you what these did, it's tutorial 100 demonstrates a very simple program where you can use the optimizer API. The symbols can either be hard-coded into the program, or you can actually input the symbol in a form. Now, Quicktip 37 went a little bit further and allowed you to import a document containing a list of symbols. Bear in mind that the optimizer API can be used to optimize over a number of symbols, a number of strategies, etc. So very flexible tool. So Quicktip 37 added the ability to import a file, and what I've done in this new program is, rather than importing a file, when we click the start optimization, you have the option to actually find a file on the hard disk containing a list of symbols. The program will then upload that into the program, put those symbols into a token list, and then use that token list in the optimizer API and do a optimization using the symbols. So let me just demonstrate it to you, then I'll just go through some of the things that I've changed from Quicktip 37 to this new tutorial 206, which I will make available, by the way, to Gold Pass members, or if you want to transcribe the code, you're very welcome, or you can, there will be a download available for a modest fee. So let's start the optimization, and when we do that, we see the hard drive, and this is going to my markplex work folder. It's going to zoom to the bottom, and what I've done is created a file containing a number of symbols. I'll show you that in a moment, but what I'm going to do for now is just open that, and what happens is the symbols are all uploaded by the program, stored in a token list, and then that also begins the processing of the optimizer API, and the best profit so far is displayed here along with a representation using this progress bar. Also, you can see that down here in the print area. So I'll just let that go on, might speed it up for a few seconds just so you can see that come to an end. Well, looks like we're getting there already. Okay, so there it's telling us a net profit of 98,357. Now, let me just show you the file. So it is simply an ordinary text file that you could create in Notebook, for example, and we just have a list of random symbols included in that. Could be any length, doesn't matter. So that is the text file. The way that the way this program works, and this is the real purpose of this tutorial, is to show you, introduce, if you're not familiar with it, a feature which I think is quite useful, and that is using the OpenFileDialog. Now this is the way that we get the dialog coming up in the program. So it's not super well documented in TradeStation, but you could maybe use this, or there are also some on the forum that you could use as a model for using it in your work. So to set up this OpenFileDialog, what I've done is use this syntax here, new OpenFileDialog, and then there are various options that you get with that. So probably the best thing to do is if you go to the dictionary, which I'll just try and demonstrate, and type in OpenFileDialog, you'll see various options there of syntax that you can utilize, such as create, such as multi-select, and so on. Now, you're not seeing some others that I'm using here. So one of the things that you can do is go to a Microsoft site, because this functionality or this class is based on a Microsoft. It's essentially the same thing with maybe not all of the methods and properties available, but you can look at that site and so you can see other syntax and other examples of the use, which is what I did. But what we're using is we're saying we're not allowing multi-select, we're setting the initial directory, and we're using a filter. So when I go back and start the program, you'll notice that there are only text files. Well, we're seeing directories, but we're only seeing text files. There are JPEG files, there are other files in that folder, but we're not seeing them because we've restricted the filter just to text files. And then there's a couple of events that can occur with this class, and one of them is called file OK, and we're going to be using this to know when the user, in other words me in this case, clicks on a file. So when that happens, then we can go to the next stage of the program. So the first part of the program is when we click the button on the form, just to go back to that form, when we click the button Start Optimization, that is where we start this OpenFileDialog. And then in the OpenFileDialog, when we click the button on the file we want, then we go to file OK, which is here, and that is where we set up the stream reader in order to access the contents of the text file, which is what we do here, which is actually very similar to what we did in Quicktip 37 when we already knew where the file was, where the location of the file was hard-coded. But so we just needed to add a little bit extra here so that we could do it by selecting a file. So what that does is, again, just like in Quicktip 37, which, as I mentioned, is worth looking at, we take the contents, put it in a stream reader, and then we take those values and put them into a token list, and then we call the job, or we start the job, define the job, as you can see here, which then calls some other. So we have define job, and you can see that we add the symbols by going through the token list and using this syntax here, op symbol.add symbol, and then the counter number, so that we're getting those all set up in the job for the optimization. So what I would suggest is to experiment with this. You could maybe go through this program, type it in anew, or you could go back to tutorial 100 or Quicktip 37 and use code from there. Just going to run through this slowly so you can see what's going on. But the key to this new functionality over and above Quicktip 37 is the use of the OpenFileDialog. And what I'll do, I'll put in a link under this this video on the website showing you where you can access the Microsoft site, where you can find potentially, not definitely, but potentially information that you could use. And what I've done is anything that was created using the toolbox, I have now copied that into the program. As you can see, for example, the forms, which are a lot easier to create using the toolbox, using the form creation tools, rather than putting all this information, typing all this information in by hand. That can be done using the form tool. So I'm just going to show you one more time what the program looks like. Let's just clear the print logs, go back to the program, which is a trading app, and start optimization. I'm going to go back to that file that we used before, and you can see the optimization taking place. Anyway, hopefully that will be useful to you. Thank you very much.